Hello everyone, this is Zeeebo and welcome to this AFK journey video. So in today's AFK journey video, we are going to talk about everything seasonal skills related. More specifically, we are going to talk about all the 17 seasonal skills that are currently in the game. And each seasonal skill has about 1 to 3 units attached to it. And I'll just briefly talk about whether or not the skill is good on those units. And just do a simple, I'll say like opinions on these skills itself, because I plan to do a more in-depth tier list with regards to the skill rating for individual units, but I need some time to see whether or not people start using them and probably get more data to tell whether or not they are good. And then I will probably update the unit tier list specifically for Song of Strife as well, so you guys can stay tuned for that. But for today's video, it will just be a very brief introduction, because there's a total of 17 skills and it will take quite a while to cover them all nonetheless. Okay, so let's start with the very first skill which I want to talk about, because that skill is none other than Heart of Unity. So Heart of Unity, as you guys can see here, is an increase in haste as well as damage buff after a fixed duration on the battlefield, right? As long as you have allies alive, they're going to get the buff. And you also need the tank alive for this Heart of Unity to be in effect. So based on the kit right now, Scalita, Lucius as well as Lumon, as you guys can see, have this skill. Personally, I think this skill is really insane in terms of how easy it is to at least get like half the line fulfilled. Like 8 haste for 10 seconds is quite manageable. 14 seconds is challenging in certain situations, but definitely doable if you build a team with that team around. But I'll say this skill fits into the team of Scalita and Lucius really well. But for Lumon's case, I find it really weird, because Lumon technically, I mean, he does have a taunt to force the enemy to attack him, but he doesn't really protect the ally to keep them all alive for very long. So the second line is going to be really hard to fulfill for Lumon, and that's why it's really weird. But it is an amazing skill on our dear Scalita, because it fits into her skill set really well. And obviously for Lucius' case, it is also really decent, because Lucius' kit basically wants to keep the whole team alive, right? So keeping the whole team alive and then buffing them subsequently is going to be good for this unit. So yeah, Heart of Unity is generally a really good skill, at least on the units that is currently available. So the second skill is Guardian Shield. So Guardian Shield, right, is a skill which provides a shield which absorbs damage every 2 seconds if HP drops below 30% in the first 15 seconds of a battle. So these shields can stack and remain effective until 15 seconds into the battle. So basically it's a shield which keeps the team healthy, and it's every 2 seconds. So this is actually quite a big shielding for the unit, and currently the unit with this shield, this Guardian Shield ability is Donnell, Niru, Celezo as well as Viperion. I think all 3 of the units are warranted for this skill. I think especially for Donnell, it sort of fixes his survival issue. I think for those of you guys who are not invested in this unit, or you guys don't have a lot of experience with this unit, Donnell is actually an amazing damage dealer, but he's really frail. So Guardian Shield sort of fixed the issue of survival, and I think it fixes his shortcoming really well, at least. This skill alone, I don't know whether or not it's like amazing, because if your HP already drops below 30%, chances are you are getting overpowered. I think against heavy damage comms where they can burst you down quickly, every 2 seconds might not be something you want. You want something that's just really big, like 600% damage, and then you try to burst them down from there. So it is subjective, but I can say that if you let this Guardian Shield draws out in battle, it's going to be pretty insane, especially on the likes of like damage dealers like Viperion as well as Donnell. Celezo, I mean, it's useful for Celezo, but I doubt people are invested in him anyway. For Niru's case, it's also good, because if Niru is alive for as long as possible, and it fits into Niru's team as well, because Niru is going to revive himself with Spirit Form if he casts the ultimate on himself. So this shield is going to keep him alive longer for him to spam his ultimate, for him to do what he wants. So generally, Guardian Shield is also a really powerful skill in the game, based on the units that is currently attached to. Okay, so that's the second seasonal skill. Next skill is Combo. So Combo is basically this additional damage after you cast the ultimate. Right now it's on Barrow, it's on Elsa as well as Iron, and also Igor. I think this is really subjective. Like, I think Combo, I mean, these are all on units that have very spammable ultimates, definitely. But I think for Combo's case, it does fit into Elsa's kit. does fit into Iron's kit of just using ultimate, and somehow Iron can spam the ultimate immediately, right? So Iron like just gets the ultimate at the start of the battle, where Elsa is the ultimate spammer. So these two units where they are spamming their ultimate, this additional source of damage from them is really helpful. For Barrows as well as Igor's case, I'm not like that convinced that it's good on them, because I don't know, I don't think Barrow is exactly like that spammy in terms of the ultimate usage, although his Q has a really low cooldown as well as initial energy. But I think Barrow is just a very disruptive unit just off the silhouette ability that this ultimate casting is not his key priority. Obviously, it does give him more damage and it makes him a better damage dealer, but I'm slightly not convinced in terms of it being effective on him nor Igor. So Igor's case is also similar, right? So I'm gonna go to Igor. So Igor also have this skill combo over here. So for Igor's case, Igor does survive really long and he becomes really annoying, which makes it such that he can use his ultimate a few times. But I mean, Igor's not exactly an ultimate spammer as well, although he has very similar stat line to Barrow, right? But Igor's not really well known to be a ultimate spammer, so I don't think the effect of this skill is that maximized on him. But for the likes of our dear Elsa over here, right? Elsa is good because Elsa is an ultimate spammer for sure. She has reduced energy from her EX weapon and she's able to spam the ultimate if she does get it going. And for Aaron's case, I think you guys probably know by now, like this unit just starts the battle with the ultimate, so he's gonna get one buff and then he's gonna charge up his ultimate really fast and then he's gonna get even more buffs from there. So it's good for on the likes of really good ultimate spammers. Maybe not so much on like the units like Barrow and Igor. I personally don't see a lot of people using Igor right now, so I think Igor sort of fallen out of favor recently because of the rise of Wilders, but I mean this additional damage probably helps with Igor being a semi-carry as well. So yeah, we shall see whether or not people start experimenting with these Igor seasonal skills. Next one is Vanguard Bulwark. So this one is a support skill. So this one grants a massive shield to the frontmost ally, absorbing damage for 4 seconds when the battle starts. I think this is just a very simple skill. It's not amazing, it's like not like insanely powerful, but sometimes it just gets its job done. Like for example, if you're pushing really hard PvE contents, or if you're in an arena battle where you just need your front unit to just survive for a little bit longer to do what they want to do, this skill actually gets the job done. But then again, yeah, it's just a one-time shield, so it's not very spectacular, and it's based off the attack of the support, which usually is not the highest, so you're not getting like super massive shields. And if you compare this skill, right, this skill is currently on Reyna. It's also on our dear Rowan. No, not Rowan. He's currently on Reyna, Coco, right? Coco also has it. Coco has Vanguard Bulwark. And then we have Damien as well. So it fits the team into the supports that are currently being ran, because their job is to keep the team alive. So this additional shield definitely gets the job done. As a standalone skill, I think it's not very spectacular, but if you put it into supports which are commonly used, it's just a really good additional power up for this support, because you're already using them. And I think this skill is on the units which are currently the more meta ones, right? Damien, Coco, as well as Reyna. So I guess you can't really give them a super overpowered skill. If not, they will just be super broken, and then all the other units are just not going to see use. So I guess it's fair. It's not the most powerful skill, but it gets the job done. Okay, next one, Energy Surge. Okay, so Energy Surge belongs to the likes of Cassidy. It's a recover energy every 90 seconds, or recover 90 energy every 3 seconds after a battle start until the first ultimate is cast. And it falls on Cassidy. There's some translation error on Cassidy's side. There's also one on Rowan. So yeah, there's some translation. It's recover 90 energy every 3 seconds. And then there's also one on Khafra as well. So I think this skill on Rowan is insane. It accelerates his ultimate usage and allows him to do what he wants faster. So it is insane on Rowan. I think on Cassidy is fine as well. Yeah, Cassidy is fine. Like Cassidy wants to get the ultimate off to do damage, but then until after you cast the first ultimate, right, like this skill just become invalid. So I say it's also like a Bulwark level kind of ability in a sense. It gets its job done, right? It accelerates the ultimate usage on units which wants to get their ultimate off fast, but it's not exactly like the best skill, right? Because it's only a one-time thing. If this recover energy is throughout the whole battle, that is going to be quite sick. It's going to probably make Khafra as well as Cassidy more meta, right? Right now, I think Cassidy is very niche. Khafra is very toilet bowl. I'm not sure whether or not Energy Surge will allow Khafra to see more use, because his issue is not really like his ultimate being bad or him not getting the ultimate out fast enough. I think his issue is more of the team issue as well as his survival issues. So that's for Energy Surge. Next, we have a really OP seasonal skill from Vala. This is Battle Momentum. This Battle Momentum grants additional attack and crit in the first 8 seconds of the battle, and if you defeat a non-summon enemy when this buff is active, you extend the duration. This is an insane skill, and it falls on the likes of Vala as well as Sylvina, and it gets the job done. In fact, I think this makes it such that these units are a lot better for the contents that have seasonal skills. So namely, seasonal skill is currently available in Supreme Arena as well as your PvE contents. So for seasonal skills, I think Supreme Arena, we haven't unlocked it on this account, but Supreme Arena is a game mode where I think we haven't really seen the full power yet. So I don't know how busted this Battle Momentum can be, but on paper it's really crazy, because this unit's role is just to snipe off key targets and then just steamroll from there, and this skill just accelerates and compounds on that, kill you fast and get a buff and then move on to the next enemy kind of idea. So Vala and Sylvina definitely became a lot better, at least on the offensive side. Maybe only in Supreme Arena, because this skill doesn't apply in normal arena. For normal PvE contents, I think for Sylvina's case, it is not really the best, because Sylvina is actually pretty bad for PvE because she jumps into her own demise most of the time. For Vala's case, it's actually really helpful if you're able to snipe off certain targets. I think it's actually really helpful for Vala in the PvE, because you can actually just keep this duration extended as long as you find the right target to snipe off quickly. So this is definitely one of the more busted seasonal skills out there as far as I can see. Probably need more testing, at least in Supreme Arena. Once people start climbing up into the mid-late game and then they start fighting each other, then we will see the effect of these seasonal skills. Okay, pardon me if I'm staring at the left side of my screen, because I'm actually wrote down a notes for the skill, because there's so many skills, right? Kind of want to like write down everything so that I know that these units have all the skills there. Next one, okay, this one is, in my honest opinion, supposedly one of the most busted skill, right? So this skill is Elusive Mirage. This skill is currently available in Arden, Fae, as well as Atalanta, and this skill, right, basically summons a shadow clone, an untargetable illusion that casts non-ultimate skills in sequence, each with a fixed original value attack, right, 5, 25 and 40 seconds into a battle. So you basically get the full power halfway into the battle. Very powerful for PvE contents, and it is busted on Arden, I think, because Arden's non-casting skill is actually only Entangling Roots, but Entangling Roots, if you do get the EX to 15, is 3.5 seconds, and if you get this additional buff, it's 3.75 on 2 enemies, and you cast it 2 times 5 seconds into the battle, so you can effectively root 4 different enemies. Or you extend the duration on 2 enemies that you already rooted previously. It's actually really good on Arden, specifically for his control ability. And on paper, this skill is supposedly good on the likes of Atalanta, right? So we have where's my Atalanta? Oh yeah, Atalanta is an S level. I completely forgot about her. So Atalanta, right? We also have one on Fae. Yeah, so Fae also has this Elusive Mirage. So this Shadow Clone, I like to call it, just summon the skill and then do what they want to do. So supposedly this skill is busted on Atalanta, because Atalanta's active skills, the skill 2 and skill 3, they're all active. So this skill Squid Encounter is basically a damage as well as a CC skill. So you cast it 2 times, you have 2 times the damage, you have 2 times the CC. And then for the Scorching Gift, it's a AoE skill, right? So additional AoE damage. She technically can be like double damage from that, right? If you upgrade this skill up towards level, I'll say at least level 4, that's 100%. So basically 2 times the damage and 2 times the stun as well. So this skill is supposedly busted, right? On Fae, it's 2 times the heal and then 2 times the debuff. But right now, at least from what I can observe, the only unit that is being used a lot for Elusive Mirage is actually just Arden. I guess Arden is just probably the more invested unit. But I do think that Atalanta is an underdog. Fae definitely can see some use in all the contents where you can abuse this seasonal skill itself. It's probably, if not, I'll say the strongest skill in my honest take. Like, being able to use your skill 2 times is no joke, and you can do it 3 times into the battle, and it's always at the start because a full battle duration is usually 90 seconds, so you get to use it at the start so you can accelerate what you want to do and do more damage, do more control or more kills, right, with this skill alone. So that's for Elusive Mirage. Next one is Bloodlust Blade. So this skill is on the likes of Temasia as well as Brutus. So basically this is a skill where you get this aura on the unit, this red color circle. So your ally that comes into this circle will get this buff where they increase the physical damage taken by adjacent enemies. Or rather, let me rephrase it. So you get this red circle on the unit, right? Your unit will run in, and then enemies within this red circle will get increased physical damage taken. So it's extremely good for physical based team, and it fits the team into Temasia because she likes to run around a lot. So her Bloodlust Blade is definitely gonna sort of hit into many enemies. For Brutus' case, I don't know, because Brutus usually act as a frontline tank, so his debuff is just gonna attack the affect the front line. Whereas for Temasia's case, right, Temasia can run all the way to the back line, and then all the backline damage will, all the backline units will get increased physical damage taken. So I think it's more useful on Temasia than Brutus, but this is still a really good skill for physical based teams. Yeah, at least for this season, right? I think on Brutus really not very good, because Brutus usually is a 1v1 against the frontline tank, at least within the radius of the skill. So yeah, a bit iffy for Brutus. Okay, so that's it. Next, let's move on to the next skill. So this one is Soul Lifting Touch. Okay, this skill is another really busted skill. I will rate either this or Elusive Mirage as my top 1 skill because they are so useful and they are so versatile. This skill increases attack and haste for 3 seconds for the ally who deals the most damage and has a HP ratio above 75%. Such an easy requirement, right? But such a good buff on the ally who deals the most damage. Imagine like why they just made Smokey even better, because this just fits into the team of Dream Realm so well. Like, the carry unit is gonna be the one that deals the most damage, and you are giving the carry unit a buff, right, for attack and haste every 3 seconds, every 5 seconds. You only have a 2-second downtime for this skill. It's so insane. In fact, I can safely say, right, if I'm talking about specifically, like, if the skill alone, Elusive is probably stronger on paper, but in practice, Soul Lifting Touch is actually the more busted one, because you use Smokey on nearly every single Dream Realm boss. So this skill is gonna benefit you in terms of doing more damage. So specifically on Smokey is insane. This skill is also on Hewin as well, giving Hewin a little bit of, I'll say, offensive buff here. So I think this is good for Hewin in the PvE side of things, because sometimes you need that little bit of attack and haste boost to make her better. So yeah, this is definitely one of the best and most practical skill. Like, I think Elusive is on paper, I'll say, the better one, because being able to cast your skills 2 times is insane. But I think in practice, Soul Lifting Touch is just such a simple and such a good skill that you need it, right? You want to have it in your team. Okay. Next one, we have Focus Hit. Okay, so Focus Hit is Cecile as well as Bryon and Reese. So Cecile over here, we have Bryon, okay, and then we have Reese, which is the S level Mauler AoE attacker. I think for Reese's case, subjective, because Reese like to move around a lot, so I don't know whether or not this buff is gonna stay on this unit for very long, because she might just run into the enemy. But at the same time, I think this skill is not really good, because it's actually really easy for the enemy to break the 2 tile radius thing to remove this skill completely. And it is so bad on the likes of Cisia, because Cisia hates it when people close in on her at the start of battle. And people are gonna do that against her. So she's gonna lose this ability, and it's funny and sad at the same time, because like I don't think this is a bad skill. It's just that it is not something that Cisia wants. I think you can just give her a haste buff and no drawback, and that will be better than this, because I don't know, right? Cisia Summon's gonna counter this, Assassin's gonna counter this, the Mage's gonna counter this, or just Seth or units that can just dive you in the front line to maintain that 2 tile radius effect buff, right? Wow, you're gonna lose this skill, and then yeah, you're just not gonna be as effective. Like, I think focus hit is quite set, and for Cicia's case more so, right, in a sense, because she kind of really need that haste to speed up her abilities. Like, obviously there will be cases where you use this, you position her in a really safe spot, and then in PvE side of things you can definitely abuse it. But like, I think in certain matches where like the enemy just run, especially considering the fact that she's very slow, right, the enemy is gonna overrun your whole team and then just swarm towards the back line. So I have my doubts for this skill. Like, it's good, right, but this 2 tile radius no enemy thing is, wow, like a massive turn off, to be honest, and it's for the last 3 seconds. And this skill ends 1 second after an enemy approaches. Like, what the hell? So first of all, right, there must be no enemy in 2 tile radius for 3 seconds, then you get this active, and then the next moment somebody steps in for 1 second, you lose the effect. Okay, sure. No, I don't know what to say about this, but it's definitely not something that I think Cisia will want, at least from what I can observe. For Ryze and Bryon, I guess for Ryze and Bryon it's fine. Bryon's kit actually can fight you in close range as well. Like, Bryon is very, very underrated. I'm gonna talk about Bryon separately, but for focus hit, I think it probably could be better if there was no enemy within 2 tile radius, and it will probably make Cisia a lot more viable, to be really honest. So that's just my thought about focus hit. Then we have Battle Zeal. So for Battle Zeal, right, Battle Zeal is the 11th seasonal skill. It's currently active on Shakir as well as Antandra. So this Battle Zeal gains a shield that absorbs HP damage, right? So this is based on the HP of the unit when dealing ultimate damage to an enemy. Okay, I think this skill is shit on Shakir. Yeah, this skill is quite shit on Shakir because right, Shakir doesn't spam the ultimate. Yeah, like Shakir doesn't spam the ultimate. Like when I saw this skill on Shakir, like, what the hell? Like, number one, right, the value of the shield is based off the HP of the unit. So Shakir is a warrior unit, so he's not exactly as tanky as Aldir and Tendra, right? So Antandra is the other one with the skill. So this is Battle Zeal. So for Antandra's case, it makes sense because Antandra's gonna use the ultimate, right, taunt the enemy, and then she's gonna hit them, and then she's gonna get a shield, which could increase her tankiness. But for Shakir's case, I mean, Shakir's gonna use the ultimate for sure, and he's able to use the ultimate fast enough. But I think it's kind of wasted on him in a sense. He will probably function better with the Bloodlust Blade ability, or even like the Battle Momentum ability, to be really honest. Like, I don't think it fits Shakir really well. So unfortunate, but I think for Antandra it's an amazing buff for sure. So that's for Battle Zeal. I think Battle Zeal is something which depends on the situation, but it is definitely more useful for Antandra than Shakir. Not saying that it's useless on Shakir, but it's just that I think it is not something that benefits Shakir the most. Neither is it what Shakir is lacking, because you get the shield after you use the ultimate. Like, Shakir wants to transform for like as fast as possible, right? So one way is to you buff his energy gain, you buff his haste, or another way is just give him a massive shield, like give him, for example, Guardian Shield, or give him like a way to heal himself, and then he can get into the ultimate. So this is definitely not a seasonal skill for Shakir, unfortunately. Next one, we have Lock-On Projectile. So we have the star of this skill is actually Danny as well as Carolina. So this skill shoots a projectile at the target every 2 seconds your control effect lasts on the target, which deals additional damage. It works on Carolina for sure, because Carolina is a control damage dealer. For Danny's case, the control does help, and this allows Danny to do a little bit more damage. And I think this skill on paper fits more towards the damage dealer side of things. But for harder contents clearance, right, I think this skill is actually really good for Dany because Dany's ultimate is a AoE CC. So this skill, I don't think it mentions anything about it not hitting multiple targets. So imagine there's a case where you have like 4 enemies that is in front of Dany because they're taunted by her, and then she uses her ultimate. So not only is she stalling them out, she's also dealing damage to all of them every 2 seconds, right? There's no cooldown on this skill, by the way. So her ultimate is, I'll say, pretty long in duration, right? Within 2 tiles for 3 seconds. Yeah, so her ultimate is 3 seconds, and then her taunt, right? Her taunt is also 3 seconds. So it fits into her control team, and then it fits into her just wanting to do a little bit more damage. Obviously, I think a shielding ability or a heal ability will be better for her, but this skill, I think it's decent enough for Dany. For Carolina's case, I think I don't need to mention, like, you guys probably know her kit and you guys probably know her power. So this is just a power up for her for the different contents that she's really good at. So not going to speak too much for Carolina. Next one, we have Mark of Agony, which is on Florabelle, Torrent, as well as Laika, which is one of my favorite units in the past. Okay, so Mark of Agony increases the damage dealt to a target by 11% for 3 seconds after dealing damage to the target with normal attack. Okay, this damage dealt, right? Yeah, actually it's actually an amazing skill. Because it's damage dealt to a target, it means that if you're dealing damage to the target, your ally is also dealing more damage to a target as well. So it's a good Dream Realm skill specifically. Actually, this skill might make me want to try out Laika for seasonal Dream Realm, because I think there are some units which are actually really close to being good, and Laika as well as Florabelle is one of them. But the thing is, I don't think you can run both of them together. But maybe there's some use for Florabelle, at least for Dream Realm, I guess. Like this damage boost, she can be a damage dealer as well as a debuffer at the same time. Torrent's case, I don't think I need to mention. Like, Torrent's gonna be on the front line, he's gonna do damage, and you're gonna get the effect off. And Torrent's also usable for Dream Realm as well, so it's a viable strat there. It is definitely a good supportive skill. I think it's also really insane. At least I'll say a top 5 worthy skill, because damage increase is just so good, right? So that's something that I think, okay, maybe not top 5. Like, I will give Elusive Mirage, I'll give Battle Momentum, I'll give Heart of Unity, Soul Lifting Touch, as well as maybe Guardian Shield, right, for top 5. Mark of Agony, top 10. Yeah, I think at least top 10 skill, I guess. Top 10 skill. Like that increased damage taken. I mean, it's for 3 seconds only, but as long as you are continuously hitting the target, it should be a permanent debuff as well. Okay, I think worthy of a top 5. Just off how useful this skill can be, because Dream Realm is a thing. PvE, right? Even Arena, I think is really useful as well. They're just being able to make the enemy that you hit take more damage. But at the same time, it will be better if you can choose who you're hitting, so you can adjust that with positioning, obviously. So this skill is somewhere, I'll say at least 5 to 7 position for me, because I think for me top 1 is definitely Elusive as a standalone skill, Soul Lifting Touch as a very versatile skill for usage, and then I think Guardian Shield for just being really useful on the units that are, I'll say, like attached to this skill, like it's useful for those units. So those are my top 3s at least, and this one I'll say within 5th to 7th position, because there are others which I think is good, but I haven't seen a lot about them, so it's subjective for now. Okay, so that's for the Mark of Agony. We have the next one, Vigilant Ward. So this one is on Aldia Walker, as well as Valen, right? As well as Valen, as well as Seth. Wait, let me find Valen, right? As well as Seth. Okay. So this skill, Vigilant Ward, gains a shield which absorbs damage upon achieving an assist or kill for the first time. So this shield expires after 3 seconds if the battle lasted at least 15 seconds, right? Otherwise, it remains active until it absorbs max damage. This skill, I think it's useless on Walker and Valen, but it's useful on Seth, because Seth's ability actually chase down the weakest ally to finish them off really fast and then start steamrolling from there. So this additional shield on Seth is going to make him even more busted in the arena side of things. So this might change out his arena rating, at least within the Song of Strife season. For Valen and Walker case, I mean for Walker, slight utility, maybe, because Walker's kit has this ability to snipe down key targets, but Walker's just a really bad unit as a whole, and I don't see a lot of people investing in him, so I don't think this skill is good. Valen's case is also, I think this skill is meant to make them better, because like I mentioned many times, right, like Valen has survival issues, so this skill was supposedly supposed to increase his survival after you kill or assist, right? But you need to kill and assist first. So Seth's case, he can bring down weakened target fast, so he can achieve this ability fast enough. For Valen and Walker's case, subjective, but I don't think people invest in them anyway, so not that amazing of a skill, but it's good on Seth specifically. Next one we have Battle Rush. So Battle Rush is on Morale, is on our dear Parisa, as well as on Kruger. Okay, so Battle Rush increases own haste by 21 for 10 seconds after each ultimate cast. Okay, so this is what I mean by this is actually a better skill, a more permanent one, although it doesn't fix Cicia's problem, but it allows her to spam the subsequent ultimates faster. And this ultimate is like, I mean, this skill is permanent, right? So as long as she stays on the battlefield, this haste buff is permanent, and the haste buff is actually quite big. 21 is quite big, all the way up to 35. So for Kruger's case, I think for late game Dream Realm, he might return. Right now it's Coco with Smokey because you need a sustain, but I think once we reach the end game with all our equipments and levels up, I think Kruger's gonna see more use, and this Battle Rush is gonna be really helpful to make him the king of Dream Realm again. For Parisa and Morale's case, I don't know. Morale's ultimate is just too slow, so I mean the increased haste is good for her, but to get off the very first ultimate is already so slow, so I don't know how much she can benefit from it. Parisa's case, maybe. Parisa has always been a very hit or miss unit. In fact, I think recently somebody reported a bug to me. I don't use Parisa. I also don't recommend people to use Parisa, so I never knew about it, but this could definitely make her a lot better, to be honest. Like, I don't know about the bug, guys. Don't ask me about it. I'm not very familiar with Parisa because she's not a unit I use, and she's not a unit which I recommend to people in the first place. So that's for Battle Rush. Next one, right? The next skill, one of the most OP skill in the game currently, is this skill known as the Arcane Barrage. Currently on Corin, currently on Merrily, okay, Arcane Barrage, and the star of the show, their OD over here. So this skill is quite straightforward. Fires an extra projectile after every 3 normal attacks that hits the enemy to do additional damage. Very simple on paper. But this additional projectile procs a few things, right? You can do crit. I think it probably procs OD's ability as well. I cannot confirm on that. I'll try my best to dig up more, but it probably buffs up his third skill. And on top of that, I think the ability for this unit to attack really quickly is already something that makes this unit really good for damage dealing, right? This additional projectile on every 3 attack just makes the unit's damage output increase by like 1.4 times multiplied by 33%, right? So that is like an additional 50% damage increase. It's insane. Like, okay, in case you guys know what I'm talking about, so let's say if every normal attack is 100% damage, right? So on the 4th attack, on the 3rd attack you get 140, so every 3 attack you get 440% compared to the 300%. So that is roughly a 50% damage increase, right? And you increase it to level 8, it's 475. That's like 60% damage increase. It's actually really insane in terms of just damage number. So I think Arcane Barrage, right, it's a very simple skill, but it's so useful, like soul lifting touch, that it's so good on the units that currently have them. So Corin, very fast attack speed if you have the EX weapon unlocked. Merrily, very fast attack speed. OD himself, attack speed buff, the ability to shoot multiple attacks, really good stuff. So yeah, like what is there to say? Especially on OD. OD deals damage to an enemy 3 times. The attacks from this skill are considered normal attacks. His triple tap can just proc this skill. Okay, so I think on power level wise, right, Arcane Barrage is just insane on OD specifically. And yeah, I'm gonna do a video to explain about this part of this buff. I need to conduct more research first, but Arcane Barrage, I think it is definitely top 3 in terms of power level for this seasonal skills itself. Lastly, we're gonna end off the video with the very last skill, which is Arcane Focus. So this skill is only available in Citrana. So this is basically the magical version to the Bloodlust Blade, which is Brutus Anti-Measure skill. So Brutus Anti-Measure increases physical damage taken by adjacent enemies. For Citrana's case, she increases the magical damage taken by adjacent enemies. So pretty good there. But I think it's really quite niche. Yeah, like this skill is really quite niche. Like I think in most cases, you did rather just use this Mark of Agony, right? Even though it's just on the target that this unit is attacking. But like this skill is always active and this skill is all damage taken. So I think it's gonna be better in most cases. So yeah, I think in general, a lot of these seasonal skills are actually really useful on the existing units that possess them. There are some which I think it's a question mark for why these units have it. Like I think, for example, Shakir's case, I think Shakir will benefit greatly from Guardian Shield, right? Like I think Guardian Shield is this one. So Shakir will definitely benefit from this skill more than anything else. And like, for example, Danny's case, like Danny would benefit from Heart of Unity really well, because Danny usually basically draws attention away from the ally to herself and then keep your team alive. So these are just like some of my personal opinions for the skills. But in general, I'll say top 5 would be, for me, right? Top 5 would be Heart of Unity, Arcane Barrage, our dear Elusive Mirage. So these 3, and then I think Battle Momentum. Yeah, Battle Momentum is really sick on paper. So this is like the current top 5, right? So I think in the future, once we have more information, I'll probably redo the list. And then the very last one is Focus Hit. Yes, I can't say more. Like this skill is just busted. Like I think in fact this should be top 1, just in terms of how much utility it provides. This skill is really insane. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Just brief run through for all 17 seasonal skills that are currently in the game. And let me know down in the comment section below what you guys want to see with regards to the seasonal skill, right? I will discuss about their power level rating for each unit in a tier list format moving forward, so you guys can stay tuned for that. But if there are other questions with regards to the seasonal skills, as well as like potential combos that you guys might have, do let me know down in the comment section below or DM me on Discord. Thank you very much for watching. Do remember to like and subscribe to see more. I'll see you guys again in my next video. Bye guys.